David, you mentioned the Community Ambitions initiative. Can you tell us a bit more about that, the opportunities that have come from it, and maybe future plans?
So one of the great things, I mentioned the Bangladeshi Women's Association. They put on a conference to look into the issues of mental health within their community. Never been done in this area before. And I went to the conference and learned so much about the taboo, about the issue of the religion and how that affects, people's ability to come forward. And the fact that, imams maybe need to be trained up because they're the point of contact. So there's some really good work coming out of the Community Ambitions Fund. Another one was the Africans in the UK, African families in the UK, based in Colchester, and they wanted to address mental health issues. So what they did as a community organisation, they put on an online event where people could turn up, don't have to have their name up on the screen, it was anonymous. And the first group they had over 30 black men come to that meeting.
Wow.
And then the second one, there was more, and now they're putting on more events.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you speak to the NHS, they will tell you that this is a hard to reach community, that these people aren't getting involved. Well, actually, there were 30 odd people at that meeting. Yeah. And so the idea of the Community Ambition is to now put senior people involved in the NHS in touch with those organisations, so that we can't have that excuse that they're hard to reach.
And losing that momentum would be such a shame. As you said before, in co-production, we all bring our different assets, and services can't be without those assets. I think in this day and age, as we move forward, and we're struggling with resources, and think budgets are tight, and I think without co-production, you will miss out on those community connections, those skills and those assets that sort of group brings, and
absolutely.
They're not going to get the chance to hear from them in any other setting than a co-production.
That's right. And I think the thing for smaller communities is that there are self-help organisations that are operating anyway. It's just about tapping into those, and like you said, making sure that they feel like they've got a proper voice at the table. I mean, I'm really proud of the work of African families in the UK. We've got another project in Newmarket called Sharing Parenting, and that's where we've given funding to an organisation who are going to bring together members of the Gujarati community who are there. The only point of contact they have with services is at school. So we've set this up through the school. So that's partnership with the school, with the voluntary organisation, and then we're able to feed that information and that data back. Look, everyone's always complaining. If you look at the data, you can see that different communities are being affected differently by different problems. So unless we engage with those communities, we're never going to kind of solve it. So it is the way forward.
That sounds brilliant.
I think what I'd like you to speak about is how do you make that engagement valuable and not so it feels like just a one-off kind of tick box exercise?
Yeah, that's the problem, because we all have these forms that we have to fill in saying, who came, what their makeup was and all that sort of stuff.
Or the red tape.
Yeah, and the red tape. I mean, I think the problem is for a lot of smaller voluntary organisations is that they would need support to get to get involved.
Yeah.
And I think that as part of the process, we need to think about how we can support them, because if they're operating with one part-time worker and you want them to attend a meeting once a month, that's a big chunk out of that person's time. So
that's taking the service from the people who they're meant to be serving as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Although it's really important for those organisations to be involved, because they can then be tapped into the things that are happening in the future. I think it's positive all round. That we need to listen. That's what my work is all about. It's about hearing about people's experiences and then maybe doing something to make them better.
Yeah, and involving them in a way that it doesn't feel like it's tokenistic, and empowering those communities to actually feel like that they are part of changes that are happening and part of solutions that are happening, and just keeping that relationship going and throughout that journey.
Yeah, and have a revolving chair. Why can't they chair the meetings? Why can't they? Does it always have to be someone from HealthWatch? Why can't it be someone from one of the user groups or whatever to chair? I know that in the family rights group and organisations like that, they have now got a chair who is actually got lived experience of having their child taken away. I mean, that's a fantastic resource to have and a voice to hear. So